Hi, I'm Bev Adamo, Wild and Wise Women, Wild and Wise Sisterhood. Thank you for saying yes to this divine appointment. The divine appointment to talk about quitting and being a quitter. Oh my gosh, when can that ever be good? Well, I'm here to tell you that quitting can be one of the best decisions you have ever made. So first of all, I want to say that one of the things that I know is that there are words that have impact on us. They hook us in different ways. And when that happens, there can be different reasons for it. And I love it when I have a trigger go off because it means that I have something to work on. So if there's something about this word, quit, or quitting, or being a quitter that impacts you or that makes you say, ooh, I want to know more about this, or what is this, or I don't feel good about this, then you're in the right place. The thing also about the power that words have is that we actually give words power. We're the ones who do it. Just the same as people or circumstances in our life. We serve ourselves by knowing that we have the power to change that at any time. So I want to put that in there because it's something that I teach, or at least talk about a lot, is that we really have the power to choose what words, people, circumstances mean in our life. We have that power. So when it comes to quitting, let's talk about, first of all, what happens sometimes when we don't quit. Have you ever been involved in a big project or an event or something that's coming up? Maybe it's work, maybe it's your career, maybe it's personal, maybe it's something that you don't even really want to do. You feel obligated doing it. Regardless of how excited you were when it first started, maybe at some point you just get to that place where you go, oh my God, I am so done, I'm so done. And what happens? You get sick. Sometimes it's a physical illness that will arise, and sometimes it can be very devastating. We can literally make ourselves quit getting sick and tired. And that's what I'm here to talk about, is to do that rather than make ourselves sick and tired because we don't quit. So let's look at that. And it's not just necessarily a physical thing. I know for me, what I did is I spent a lot of time in clinical depression as a result of being and feeling so overwhelmed with my life. I looked so together. Looked like I was so together and had everything together, and I really didn't. I was completely overwhelmed. I was in this state of clinical depression. So my not quitting landed me in a physical / mental / emotional illness and place. That's what can happen. And sometimes it's more of something a little smaller, maybe not so life-threatening. So maybe we just find ourselves in anger and frustration and annoyance and stress. And believe me, that's just as critical as some of the other things that I've just talked about. So that's what can happen when we keep pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves. And I know I've been in a place sometimes when I have said to myself, don't give up. I remind myself, don't give up. And then there are other times when giving up is exactly the thing to do. Now, I'm very blessed because I've had some extraordinary circumstances in my life. And yet at the same time, I also know that a lot of you share those circumstances or something similar. So I wanted to bring up 3 situations in my life where quitting was the best decision I ever made. Okay, so the first one is for myself, because when I was in that state of clinical depression, I got to the point where I was so done with everything, even being willing to give up my life. I was willing to be dead rather than face what I had to face in life. I was really willing to go, and I tried, and it wasn't just one time. There were several times, and I know that there are a lot of healers and light workers and people in just everyday walk of life that have gotten to that place where it's just like, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. And so what I did in that situation is that I did quit. I quit my life. Not in the way that I killed myself, because I'm here, but in the way of that I just quit my life. I dropped everything and I said yes to going into an inpatient care program. I left my life. I quit my life in order to save my life. And I did. Oh my gosh, my recovery from there, while fraught with different experiences, some good, some bad, some crazy, some magical, some miraculous, all of them meant to be, yeah, best decision of my life. So sometimes really completely walking away from your life, absolutely, it can be the best thing. Then I want to talk about my mom, because sometimes it feels like our quitting or our giving up is going to adversely affect someone else. So I want to talk about two things where it was literally life or death. My decision to quit literally affected somebody else's life. With my mother, she was an alcoholic, and at the darkest, deepest point of her alcoholism, I was the only person in the world, not just in our family, I was the only person in the world who was still trying to take care of her in this very codependent way. And yet I knew if I left her alone in the apartment that we shared, that she would die, that she would die. And one day when I didn't think it could get any darker, I had this vision. I had this literal vision of seeing myself leave the apartment and come back and finding her dead, finding my mom dead. Then I also saw that if I didn't leave, it was going to be both of us. So as heart-wrenching and difficult as it was, I walked out of the apartment knowing that when I came back in a few days, my mom would be dead. And could that have happened? Oh yeah, absolutely. It didn't though. What did happen was that as soon as I walked out, it was as though my mom also had the same vision I did. And she saw me coming back into that apartment and finding her dead body because she had fallen into the bathtub and she couldn't get out. And she said, you know, God, take me. I'm done. I'm done. But when she saw that vision of me and what it would be like for me, well, if you're a mom or a dad or a parent of any kind, you can understand what it would have been like. You find the strength. And she did get up out of that bathtub and she did get help. And when I came back to my apartment and found that my mom not only was not there anymore, she was actually in somewhere where she was getting the care that she needed. Oh my God, what a miracle. What a gift. Because I chose to quit and leave my mom to what I thought was her certain death. As a matter of fact, oh my gosh, she went on to get her bachelor's degree, she got her master's degree, and she served her community so much. The lives she touched in the working in the field of chemical dependency and recovery, unbelievable how many lives that she touched in such a positive way. Because I made the decision to quit. And in 2010, when my husband, Rick, died for the first time, his heart stopped. His heart stopped and his soul left his body like that. And I followed the ambulance to the hospital. But the ambulance we weren't going fast, we were going under the speed limit. The lights were on, but my husband was dead and there was no changing that. And yet when we arrived at the hospital, evidently the emergency room doctor had other orders and other ideas. He told me in an interview later that I used in writing my book, The 3 Reasons, that he was compelled to bring this man back. And that's what he did. He got his heart restarted after 44 minutes of it not beating and no oxygen. So his heart was restarted, but he still wasn't breathing on his own. And they had him on a ventilator. So we had 24 hours I counted this as a gift, and we had 24 hours, I thought, to say goodbye to him, to say goodbye to my husband of 20-some years. And what happened was, after that 24 hours, when most of the people who would have wanted to have a goodbye in person had come, I knew that the last thing he wanted was to be hooked up to everything in that hospital. He hated that, hated it. And I could tell that it was a torture for him. And his soul wasn't back. His body, though, oh my gosh. And I made the decision to quit, to give up, to unplug him from the machine that was breathing for him. And could he have died then? Yes, absolutely. But he didn't. As a matter of fact, his recovery and his soul's return and the 4 years that we had with him afterward, oh my gosh. Such a magical, amazing, incredible time because I quit on him. So the message that I'm making here is that sometimes quitting, giving up, letting go can be the best decision, not only for yourself, for everyone around you, even in life or death situations. And I've also been in a situation where a friend said, you know, I have to leave. I can't stay in this world anymore. And no matter what I did, it didn't help. And she did leave. So there are some times when we let go, when things happen, we go, oh, could I have done more? Could I have done more? No. We're each responsible for our lives. Our soul takes responsibility for our choices as far as birth and death, and it's all part of life, and it's amazing. So what I'm here to talk to you about right now is how do you quit in a way that provides you with a positive notion, a positive healing outlook on what's going on. All right, so let's talk about that. So what I know that was present in those times, both in saving my life, being by quitting and saving my mom's life, quitting and saving my husband's life, what I know is that I had faith. I had faith. And sometimes we think that, you know, what is faith? It can be so nebulous. No, it's not. Here's what faith is. Faith is knowing, not believing, knowing that no matter what, you are worthwhile, that you have a purpose that nobody else ever is going to be able to fulfill except for you. And there's one thing about purpose is that we're always on purpose. There may be some times when we're unconscious about our purpose, in which case oftentimes the resources and things we need will show up as lessons that can hurt a lot. I know when I was really unconscious that a lot of the things that I needed to be who I am and to remember who I am showed up in very hurtful ways. Oh my goodness. Now that I'm more and more conscious, more and more remembering, more and more knowing, then I can co-create my life with my purpose, with spirit and all of that. So faith is really the foundation for knowing who you are, that you have the support of whatever you want to call your source, your spirit, your higher power, that is there for you. The only way that gets cut off is when we cut it off. So remember, we're incredibly powerful beings. We can change the meaning of words, of people, of circumstances. We can even change whether or not we feel the connection to spirit through our faith. We can change that in a minute, and we can change it right back. So know that you are here for a purpose. And I've had somebody ask me, well, you know, what if I quit, you know, because I've heard this thing about, you know, people quit like inches before they're successful. Inches, you know, like one yes away, one no away, one step away. And I quit and, you know, I lost all of this. And I say, Yes. And that's was exactly what needed to happen. Here's again what I know, that when you quit, when you let go of something, when you say no more, when you say I'm done, if it's meant for you, it will be there, and even better than before. Because a lot of times the messages of I'm done, I'm up, I'm over my head, I'm overwhelmed, are messages to pay attention. So that's the next step of this. Have faith that you have connection with spirit, higher power, everything, every resource you need to live on purpose and to have the opportunities in abundance that you were meant to have. Have that faith. And then you need to listen. You need to find a way. Find a way. I invite you to find a way, if you don't already have one, to listen. Whether it's prayer, I have a really good friend and he's amazing. He prays like 2 hours every day. And I ask him, well, what does God say to you? And he said, well, what do you mean? And I go, well, prayer both ways. Listen to what God is telling you. Listen to what Spirit's telling you. And the thing is also, don't be attached to form, because there's so many times that I have asked for guidance and I've been given a very clear answer, because we're always given an answer. But I have been so attached for form. I've been so attached to the form that the answer was going to take. And when I can allow myself not to be attached to form, to first of all have faith that I am on purpose, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how screwed up my life seems, I'm on purpose. So I have faith, and I'm listening. I'm listening with my ears. I'm listening with my eyes. I'm listening with my body. I'm listening with my my senses, my touch, my brain. I'm listening with everything I've got, every fiber of my being. I am listening for the answers, and I'm unattached to the form. And I'm also unattached to the direction. I often literally and figuratively turn around. So if I'm looking at something one way and I just, I know I've asked, I know the answer's here, and I'm looking one way, I'll just turn around and look the other way, literally. And sometimes that's the thing to do. My friends and I were in Austin and we were looking for a restaurant, and we were walking one way and we were right there. It only happened, though, that when we turned from looking this way to looking this way, that we saw it. So sometimes it's a physical, turn yourself around, change up your environment. If you're inside, go outside. If you're outside, go inside. Knowing that when you're not attached to forms, the answers will be there. And then what do you do with the answers? Oh my God. Well, if the answer is quit, let go, release, receive, walk away from something, know that you have the courage. You have the inner strength to do just that. Because if you have had the courage and the inner strength to walk a path where you find yourself saying, I'm done, that same inner strength and courage, because it takes a lot to walk a path that is not for you. Oh my gosh, it takes an incredible amount of inner strength and courage to walk a path that it no longer serves you. So when you say, I've asked, I have faith that I'm on purpose and that I will get answers. I've asked and I have the answer, and I know this is my choice, and I know it's time for me to do this. And when you allow yourself to take that step, that inner strength and courage is there for you. Everything you need. And you don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to do anything except take 100% responsibility for yourself. That's being willing to have that faith, to listen, to ask for answers, and then to let go when things no longer serve you. So thank you again for joining me today to talk about what it's like to be at that point of being done, and what it's like to have the faith, the purpose, the courage, the inner strength, and the grace that comes from allowing yourself to quit, to remember who you are, and to walk away, to know that you're supported, and to let go. Look forward to seeing you again. Until then, be wild, be wise. So grateful and in love with you all. Thank you.